Are there any senators in the chamber who wish to vote or change a vote? If not, on this vote, the yeas are 50 and the nays are 50. The Senate being equally divided, the Vice President votes in the affirmative, and the nomination is confirmed.
Hegseth, it was a tie, bipartisan opposition, smallest margin since the job was created. You had to break that tie. If the nominee can't unite your party, how's he going to lead 3 million people?
Well, look, I think Pete is a disruptor, and a lot of people don't like that disruption, but Margaret, that disruption is incredibly necessary. If you think about all of those bipartisan massive votes, we have to ask ourselves, what did they get us? They got us a country where we fought many wars over the last 40 years, but haven't won a war about as long as I've been alive. They've got us a military with a major recruitment crisis, a procurement price crisis that's totally dysfunctional, where we buy airplanes for billions and billions of dollars, terrible cost overruns, the delivery dates are always delayed. So we need a big change. Now, admittedly, there are people who don't like that big change, but it is necessary, and it's explicitly what Donald J. Trump ran on, and I think part of the reason why the American people elected him their 47th president.
So the main...
And I've been saying that throughout the past year and a half about Trump being very blunt with the American people. And there's certain things that I knew that were going to happen that a lot of people, even the people that voted for him, weren't going to like. But it's necessary for this country to get back on track and to be sane again and prosperous and all the most positive things you can think of. It's going to take hard steps and decisions to get there. And that's why a lot of people that voted for him understood this as well.
main objective is changing all of that, that it's going to be Pete Hegseth alone?
I'd say the main problem the main thing that we want Pete Hegseth to do is to fix the problems at the Department of Defense. And unfortunately, there are many. We've gotten into way too many wars that we don't have a plan for winning. We've gotten into way too many misadventures that we shouldn't have got into in the very first place. And our procurement process, Margaret, is incredibly broken. We're in an era.
Decisions.
Well, of course they're policy decisions, but they're also logistical and implementation decisions. If you look at where we are with the rise of artificial intelligence, with the rise of drone technology and drone warfare, we have to really, top to bottom, change the way that we fund the procurement of weapons, the way that we arm our troops. This is a major period of disruption, and we think Pete Hegseth is the guy to lead the job. Now, there's another element to this, Margaret, too, which is we believe that military morale, at least until the election of President Trump, was historically low. You had the Army missing recruitment goals by tens of thousands of soldiers, and already recruitment is starting to pick up because Pete Hegseth is fundamentally a warfighter's leader at the Department of Defense. He is a guy who sees not through the perspective of the generals or the bureaucrats, he looks at things through the perspective of the men and women that we send off to fight in our wars.
Both the Wall Street Journal and the National Review, conservative publications, as you know, have been critical of Tulsi Gabbard. The Review called her an atrocious nominee who deserves to be defeated. They compared her defense of Edward Snowden, the fugitive who stole U.S. secrets, to an attorney general who thinks the mob gets a bad rap. Her refusal to accept U.S. intelligence findings that Assad gassed his own people, they said, was like a nominee for OMB director not being able to count. Does any of this give you pause putting her in charge of the U.S. intelligence community? Yes or no?
So, yes or no. With Tulsi Gabbard, they're giving her a bunch of flack because she went to visit Syria. I know that was one of the issues that a lot of these journalists and reporters were having an issue with, her visiting Syria a few years ago, talking to their leader. And it wasn't for the intention to side with them and do something devious against the United States. No, that's not why she went there. And she's explained that many, many times. And I think once you actually understand her intentions and you know that she actually does care about this country, considering that she also is still serving this country as an active duty, I believe she's in the Guard or Reserves, but she's still serving, and you know, they're still trying to smear her name, even to this point, especially this journalist here.
or no?
No, Margaret, look, these are publications that attacked Donald J. Trump obsessively, but those publications don't determine who the president is, the
And
American
ultimately
people
supported
do.
him.
And Donald J. Trump is the person who determines who his cabinet is, not these publications that I think, frankly, have lost relevance.
The Senate will
Tulsi
ultimately
Gabbard's.
decide.
Well, the Senate will provide advice and consent, as is its constitutional obligation, but I feel confident that Tulsi Gabbard will ultimately get through. Two things that are important to know about Tulsi. First of all, she is a career military servant who's had a classification at the highest levels for nearly 2 decades. She has impeccable character, impeccable record of service, and she also is a person who I think is going to bring some trust back to the intelligence services. The bureaucrats at our intelligence services have gotten completely out of control. They've been part of the weaponization of our political system, the weaponization of our justice system. We need to have good intelligence services who keep us safe, but part of that is restoring trust in those services, and we think Tulsi is the right person to do it. That's
She
why the
doesn't trust
president.
those intelligence services.
She recognizes that the bureaucrats have gotten out of control, and we need somebody there who's going to rein them in and return those services to their core mission of identifying information that's going to keep us safe.
You campaigned on lowering prices for consumers. We've seen all of these executive orders. Which one lowers prices?
We have done a lot, and there have been a number of executive orders that have caused already jobs to start coming back into our country, which is a core part of lowering prices. More capital investment, more job creation in our economy is one of the things that's going to drive down prices for all consumers, but also raise wages so that people can afford to buy the things that they need. If you look at our
grocery prices
slate
aren't gonna come
of
down.
executive orders, no, Margaret, prices are going to come down, but it's going to take a little bit of time, right? The president has been president for all of 5 days. I think that in those 5 days, he's accomplished more than Joe Biden did in 4 years. It's been an incredible breakneck pace of activity. We're going to work with Congress. We're, of course, going to have more executive orders, and we're going to try, the way that you lower prices is that you encourage more capital investment into our country. And you ask specifically, what executive order is going to help lower prices? All of the stuff that we've done on energy, to explore more energy reserves, to develop more energy resources in the United States of America. One of the main drivers of increased prices under the Biden administration is that we had a massive increase in energy prices. Donald Trump has already taken multiple executive actions that are going to lower energy prices, and I do believe that means consumers are going to see lower prices at the pump and at the grocery store, but it's going to take a little bit of time. Rome wasn't built in a day, and while we've done a whole lot, we can't undo all of the damage of Joe Biden's presidency in 4 days.
Well, there are a lot of things that contributed to higher energy prices, and there was record oil and gas production.
Yes, Joe Biden did many.
Okay, so pay attention to the type of questions she's asking as well. I have seen many interviews with journalists, reporters asking questions to Democratic leaders, and they don't have hard questions compared to what she's giving right now. She's getting more in depth in detail on certain questions about certain individuals that Trump's trying to choose in his administration. But when these journalists are interviewing Democratic leaders or anybody in any type of power, whether it ranges from city council, mayor, governor, they ask the most basic, easy questions that are just make them answer the question very quickly, and then also add on other irrelevant information that doesn't answer the question or help the people they're serving. This is a tactic they use when dealing with the media, because they know the media is on their side or has been on their side these past couple years. And JD Vance, I give him a lot of props because every question she's throwing at him, he's coming back quickly because he already knows the answer. They already know the mission on what's to come in this country. He's not stalling. He's not doing anything that will show you that he's not ready for the position he's taken. And I really do give him props for that as a vice president.
Many terrible things to lead to an
see.
increase in prices. I agree, Margaret.
No, but all the things you experience at the grocery store are what people touch and feel. That's what you were talking about, bacon on the campaign trail.
Of course, of course.
Those things, when do consumers actually get to touch and feel a difference in their lives?
Well, Margaret, how does bacon get?
Well, why didn't she ask that question to Joe Biden directly? Why don't these journalists ask those questions bluntly? All these prices went up. recently during your administration. What are you going to do, and what are you going to do to bring them back down? Instead, she's grilling the new administration like they're the ones that created the problem. And it irks me, these type of people that do this. And they need to look in the mirror and get all their, if they have a license for journalism or a certificate, it needs to be revoked.
To the grocery store, it comes on trucks that are fueled by diesel fuel. If the diesel's way too expensive, the bacon's going to become more expensive. How do we grow the bacon? Our farmers need energy to produce it. So if we lower energy prices, we are going to see lower prices for consumers, and that is what we're trying to fight for.
Well, the flurry of executive orders, most of them weren't about the economy. Many of them
were, though, Margaret. We had, I think we've
a
taken
promise
over
of tariffs by February 1st.
We've taken over 200 executive actions, some executive orders, other executive actions. Again, this is in less than a week, and a lot of them were focused on the economy, bringing investment into our country and lowering energy prices. We've also focused on safety, restoring public safety, ending weaponization of the Department of Justice. We've done a lot. And I think the president is to be commended for actually coming in and doing something with this incredible mandate the American people gave him. He's not sitting in the Oval Office doing nothing. He's doing the American people's business, and I think they're going to see a lot of good effects from it.
Well,
I think after watching, this segment, journalists, reporters, they need to reevaluate themselves and know the deep roots of journalism, fair journalism across the board, no matter which party you're speaking to, which political figure. The same type of questioning should be equal for everyone. I've noticed since I started following the political world that Democrats have it easy when getting questioned because they don't do anything to help people. They have to give just small bits of answers with no type of action. I mean, we saw a recent video that I just posted with Karen Bass, not even sure how long it would take to get all the rubble out from LA that's been affected by the fires. So she eyeballed it, or she just thought about it last second. A week you can go back to. And then Trump fired back saying, no, a week is too long. You should be able to do this within 24 hours. Sign something that says, hey, we can start doing this 24 hours. Give the American people the ability to go in and take care of their situation themselves, because they want to go in there. But when you have, Karen Bass and her powers basically blocking people from doing so, it just puts a big dent. And that's why, these next 4 years is going to be about reshaping the country into not just from what it was before Biden's administration, but a lot better than it used to be during Trump's first administration. That's what I believe. All we can say is just wait to see what happens. If you guys like the video, please like the video. If you guys have any comments or anything on this video, leave a comment below. If you'd like to subscribe, please subscribe. All right, guys, till next time. Peace out.